Cool. So I was supposed to wait till 3:30, but I think it's time now to start. So the conference has been very heavy on very technical words like CTOs and KPIs and a lot of engineering things. So I thought I'd take things on the lighter side today and talk about love. The topic of the presentation was not announced on the schedule, but I'm happy you all showed up regardless. So today we're going to talk about why like killed love. And it's all about the perils of designing for instant gratification. So what happens when we design for an instant like versus long-term love? And I'm not really an authority on love by any way, for those who know me, but I'm going to try to talk about love in a way that's related to marketing, which I know a bit more about. So there are 8 billion likes every single day. So if you think about it, it's as if every person in China is liking something 8 times every single day. So whether on Instagram, whether on Facebook. So Facebook gets something like 4.5 billion likes every day, whereas Instagram gets 3.5 billion likes. And with all that likes, you'd imagine that the world would be in a much better place and there's so much love around and no wars and all the children are fed and everything is, in a unicorn kind of universe. But in reality, what these likes have generated is the term slacktivism, which we've never heard before, collectivism, and narcissism. And I'm going to talk to you a bit about each one of those. So when we talk about slacktivism, we look at the UN and how they're saying, when you like our picture on Facebook, no child is being vaccinated. So we think we're doing good by liking children's pictures. We think we're feeding them. We think we're vaccinating them, but it's not true. When we talk about collectivism, we talk about this need to get approval from everybody before we do something. And I'm going to play this video for you to show you what we mean by collectivism. So I know a lot of people in the room who make us wait before we can eat, so they take pictures of all the food and post it. The term food blogger never existed before the internet. This need to get a lot of likes, this need to, get acceptance of what we look like by all the selfies we take. And speaking of selfies, there's a lot of narcissism that has been bred, a lot of vanity by those likes. So if you look at the data from 2015, you see that a lot more people died from taking selfies than those who were killed by sharks, which is pretty astounding because, we thought sharks were the most evil creature on Earth, but in reality, it's the selfie and the selfie stick. I hope nobody in the room has a selfie stick. It's too much like and too little love. We thought that like is going to save the world, but not really because we're short on love. So when we break up with somebody, we say, I like you, but I don't really love you. And that's why we're calling a bit for a return to love in the way we design, in the way we produce content, in the way we market, in the way our brands behave, basically. So this is the premise, like killed love, and this is by no means an attack on Facebook. It's the like, it's that little heart on Instagram. It's everything we do that's very gratuitous, it's very quick, that has absolutely no engagement whatsoever. So this is what it is. There's a lot more gravity to like, there's a lot more weight that we're putting on like versus what we're putting on love. But if we go back to the definition of love, and again, I'm not an authority, so I had to look what love is. Look it up. So love has a lot of words like depth and commitment and gravity and attachment and things that are very, very deep in reality. So it's not like at all. There's nothing about love that's like. So in marketing terms, if we look at love, it's devotion, commitment, and procreation. Like is very effortless, it's non-committal. And if we translate it to what we all learned in business schools, marketing is about conversion, retention, and referral. And this is what love is. So if we look at devotion, when you're very devoted to somebody, you almost convert to them. Retention, where it's a lot about commitment, and procreation is when you breed, it's when you refer somebody else to your brand. So this is what love is all about. So again, if we look at the most loved brands in the world, they're brands like Apple, Google, and Lego. And if you close your eyes and think about these brands, you realize that they've given you so much more than Facebook posts. They've given you more than just, a post on Valentine, a post on Mother's Day, a post on Father's Day, on Burger Day, on Sandwich Day. So this is what our content calendars are made of now, but they're devoid of the real meaning of what brands stand for. So these are all about engagement, about story doing versus storytelling. So they're showing us what they're capable of, and they're letting people speak for them. So if you go to the Apple page on Facebook, it's actually a ghost town. There are absolutely no posts there. They don't post. They change their cover photo every now and then to introduce the new product they have, but they don't chat with us. They let the people do all the talking. So they introduce things and then they let people do all the conversations, and they rely on their products, the introduction, the Genius Bar in their stores, all the experiences to talk about the brand and not their Facebook page. So if we continue to design content for like and measure for like, we'll just be liked. So this is a call to be loved, to stop designing things just to get a random like on Facebook or a heart on Instagram, but to do things that get real gravity, to do things that make us loved in the marketplace. So what we should be thinking every time we design something is, are people willing to pay $1 to see this? So I don't know what all of you do, and we can get to talk about that later, but every time you're designing a post or you're thinking of promoting a brand, promoting your app, promoting your startup, think, is this what I'm doing? Are people ready to pay $1 for? Are they going to pay $1 to see this post about the new shoe size that's out there, or this pretty cat that I saw today? So whatever we do, we should think about it as if people are paying for it. So I'm going to tell you about how we can design and measure for lovable content. So how can we tip the scale to make love win over like? So this is a very naive path towards love. So the first thing we need to do is move from vanity metrics to gravity metrics. Do you know what vanity metrics are? Anybody? No? Okay. Vanity metrics are things that make you feel as if you're liked. So it's a like, it's reach, it's frequency. And I'm going to tell you what gravity metrics would be. Sympathy versus empathy, feeding the feed versus feeding a need, small talk versus big drama, and pretty versus purposeful. And we're going to go into each one of those and give examples of brands that have been doing that right. So the first thing is gravity versus metrics. So a proof of love versus just a passive like. Vanity metrics, again, as I said, are all about likes, reach, and frequency, which the algorithm now promotes basically. Gravity metrics are deeper things. So there are things like, emotional attributes, equity attributes, engagement on and offline. So have people gone to your store? Did they call you? Did they do anything beyond just like? Did they remember your message? Do they remember what you were showing, and why are you doing that? So I'm going to show you one example that does it very well. And the team at Burnett actually worked on that, just to see how when people really love something, they get to engage with it.
إنها جمهورية العار.
بعض علامات الدولة الفاشلة العسكريين
In
المخطوفين.
2014, a dark cloud was hanging over Lebanon yet again. Media competed to paint a grim image of the future, and people followed, paralyzing the country. The Lebanese were forgetting what they are truly capable of. We needed to remind them and empower them to revive faith in themselves. We communicated a message.
ببلد فوقه عاصفة قاسية، قلبها بارد، عايشة شعلة نارها دافية.
A resilient flame battles a menacing storm.
وين نارك يلي ما بتنطفي؟ قالت العاصفة. رح تتعب العواصف تجي وتروح، وناري باقية ما بتنطفي.
We released the film during the grim 8 o'clock news and on social media. The flame in the Lebanese was awakened, and when they reacted, we were ready. A calligrapher brought their messages of resilience to life with fire, and we replied to each person individually with carefully crafted images signed with their names. Every night we would respond to people in real time as their messages came to life, and every morning we would spread their images on social media, on the streets, and in dailies. For 20 nights we traveled all around the country writing hundreds of people's messages in the places where the Lebanese live and meet. To amplify the conversation, we invited bloggers to join us, and we showed up in major events. People's messages of hope were dominating the conversation, and this time it was the mass media that followed. They were now talking about Lebanon's achievements instead of its failures.
من جمهورية الفشل إلى جمهورية الأمل.
هدول الأشخاص اللي شفناهم اليوم مثل كتير كبير على قديش في طاقات وقديش في ناس شاطرين بهالبلد.
So this is actually this is actually an example of when consumers really like what they're seeing, when you're providing them with very engaging content, they're willing to reciprocate. So they're willing to provide something, not just like an image. So they wrote messages of hope, and the brand tried to reward them for doing that, and they went out and they painted all of these words with flames. Another example is the iPhone 6. Have any of you seen the World Gallery of iPhone 6? So again, as we said, it's a brand that doesn't really post. It's not after this need to fill their Facebook page and make you like every post they produce. But what they do is ask you to engage. So people provide the content for them, and they're just there for everybody to see. So I'm going to show you an example of how they promoted the new camera of iPhone 6.
These Apple billboards just changed. They're no longer ads. Well, not traditional ads. They're photos, all taken with the iPhone 6.
I just realized that the presentation is much longer than 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop this here so we go on to the next example. But this is just to show you that when people are really committed to your content, they're willing to provide content for you, and then you can just use them to market the brand yourself, and that's really a proof of love. The second thing we talk about is empathy versus sympathy. So when you just sympathize with someone, you just almost like feel bad for them, but you don't necessarily relate to what they're feeling. And if you think of any couple or any relationship you've been with, there's a lot of times when somebody says, I understand what you're feeling, but they don't really. They don't do anything that shows you that they really understand unless they get to live in your shoes, or unless they get to do the same thing that you've been through to really understand. And this is the new almost design mantra, to act like a person and not like a brand. So to do things to really immerse people in the experience. So we've all heard so much about the Syrian refugees and the camps, and we all felt bad, and we all tried to give them homes on Facebook, and we all tried to, stop the war in Syria on Facebook. But nobody has, I can't say nobody, but little has been done to actually stop that by people, except for, slacktivism. So the UN wanted to do something to take it to the World Economic Forum in Davos, to let the change makers or the people who are in power to really feel with these refugees and to really live in their shoes. So what they used is a new kind of technology that's not very new anymore, but they used virtual reality to help them really feel exactly what the young people are feeling in these refugee camps. And they did a beautiful project called Clouds Over Sidra. And again, I'm not going to show you the full case study, you can look it up, but it's an example of how you can use immersive technology to get into, to put people inside the right framework.
To Jordan.
So
I have a big family.
So because it's
3
virtual
brothers.
reality, you're seeing
One
it
is
in
a
split
baby.
screen.
He cries a lot.
But all these people at Davos got to really
I asked my
live
father
in the
if I cried
refugee
when I
camp
was a
to
baby,
feel what these
and
people
he
are
says,
feeling.
I did not. I think I was a stronger baby than my brother.
So they take you to school with them, they show you the road to
Some kids
school,
don't go
everything
to
they have to
school.
go through.
They want to wait until we are back.
And some of the gyms there.
Many of
So-
the men say they exercise.
Again, this is not just by producing posts, but doing something else that puts you in the reality of the people to get to empathize with them and not just, feel bad for them and get a passive like. Another example, one which I like, is a company called Glossier, which started as a blog and then turned into a huge beauty business. So Emily Weiss was a beauty editor, a blogger. She had a blog called Into the Gloss for those who are into fashion and beauty. So she used to talk a lot about products and what people use, and then she realized she had a beauty dossier. So she knew so much about beauty brands that people use. So she decided to create a company called Glossier and treat it exactly as a blog. So the way she talks about the content, the way she explains what the company is, and they've been raising funds like crazy. Every product they introduce has a very long waiting list, but they talk to you as if they're, as if they're just your friend, a real person, not a big beauty company imposing a new, ideal standard on you. So this is an example of how a company that's very loved, that talks as a person, can move into making money out of this practice. The third thing we talk about is big drama versus small talk. So we moved from saying just branded content to branded utility and entertainment. So providing something that is actually useful. So more buzzwords, story doing versus storytelling. So actually delivering what your brand is about. And one great example of that is Lego. So Lego, instead of doing an ad, they produced a movie that everybody paid to go and watch. And their movie was the biggest, stunt in advertising ever. And I'll just show you part of the preview.
Okay, and we're rolling and action. Just go ahead when you're ready.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I've just been bat-mailing on my bat phone.
Yeah, can you just do the line, please?
I'm Batman.
No, the other line?
Oh, right.
No,
I
just
was supposed
wait.
to say some baloney about how you should have clicked that skip button.
Yeah, the sooner you do that, the sooner we can show people the trailer for the Lego movie.
Fine. Crank up those subwoofers, dude, and check this out.
Good morning, apartment. Ready to start the day. Jumping jacks, hit 'em. 1, 2, 3. I am so pumped up!
Okay, again, we're not going to see the full preview, but this is an ad. This inspired everybody. This, brought the younger generation. They moved them away from their iPads and iPhones into playing Lego again. And people actually paid money to go see an ad for Lego. And that's how you move from just, passive posts into something that's much more engaging and watchable. The fourth thing we talk about is feeding a need versus feeding the feed. So our obsession now is feeding the Instagram feed, feeding our Facebook feed, and we get, most of our clients come to us to fill this content calendar. So we need to say something again on every single occasion, and we need to produce content for that, versus true listening and understanding and insight mining to address a need that's out there versus just rolling out content because, we think we like it. And P&G is the biggest marketer in the world, and their chief brand officer, Mark Pritchard, had a beautiful article on escaping the crap trap. So he called for cutting the crap on digital media. And he acknowledges here that, we thought the way to do things was to produce more ads, to change them more frequently, to keep feeding our Instagram and Facebook feeds. But in reality, what we discovered is that we're just adding to the noise. So we're just producing more content, being louder, more people are seeing it, but they're not necessarily loving it or resonating with it. One example of a brand that did something that I would call not so shitty is Charmin. Who of you know what Charmin is? Maybe people who lived abroad. So Charmin is actually a brand of toilet paper in the US. So it's a brand whose purpose is to help you, make the go easier. So they developed an app that really answers a need of mothers and women out there.
What do you do when you have to go on the go? Download the Sitter Squad app from Charmin. It's a completely updated version of the original Clean Restroom Finder Parenting Magazine calls one of the best apps for simplifying a parent's life. Simply use your Facebook login to connect to Sitter Squad by Charmin and get going. Just search your location on our map and find the restrooms nearest you. Restrooms marked with green rolls are designated as sit. Restrooms marked with the red rolls are designated as squat. It's that easy. You can even rate a restroom and post a photo along with your comments. Find a clean restroom away from home with the Sitter Squad app from Charmin. It's one more way Charmin helps you enjoy the go.
So really not shitty. So this is an example of a brand that produces a utility, something that resonates a lot with what they're about, but also fun and helpful for people to use. And the second example I'm going to show you is a beautiful example for Under Armour. Who knows Under Armour? Under Armour is a great brand of sports apparel that has been doing so well in marketing. And what they were tasked to do here is produce something that is timely, so for an occasion, for a specific occasion, but something that at the same time is very timeless. So for those of you who love swimming or sports or anything of the sort, you know that Michael Phelps swam for the last time in the last Olympics. So they wanted to do something with Michael Phelps to mark his last goodbye. So they did this piece of content that is both beautiful, resonates with the purpose of the brand, and lives on beyond that moment of the 2016 Olympics.
It's the last goodbye, I swear. I have no regrets, for the past is behind me. Tomorrow reminds me just where. Can't quite see the end. How can I rely on my heart if I break it with my own two hands? I heard all you said, don't say anything. It's the last goodbye, I swear.
So it's the kind of stuff you see and you say, I wish I did that. So this is really a beautiful piece of content that was done, again, for something very specific, to say goodbye to Michael Phelps for his last Olympics. But it's also something that speaks so well about the brand, that lives on forever. So really, it's a timeless piece of copy. And that's what love is all about. So no, it's not the end. So the fifth and last thing we're going to talk about is purposeful versus pretty. So all of us in design and advertising, we say we want to make pretty stuff because, we want beautiful stuff out there to show to our friends and be proud of. But it's not, the word pretty is not in our dictionary anymore, and we talk about purpose. So we talk about things that have a really deep human meaning at the center versus just nice things that we push out there. So you need to have an opinion. You need to be opinionated. If you're a brand, if you're on social media, you need to stand for something, whether on and offline. And that's what we promote. So this is something, again, that Burnett has done. Does anyone know Like a Girl from Always? 16 million views on YouTube, and you haven't seen that. But I'm going to show it to you. So that's an example of content that a brand has rolled out to talk about their purpose. And what they wanted to do is to help you join Always in their battle to keep girls' confidence after they hit puberty. So I'm going to show you this.
Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm going to just give you some actions to do. I just do the first thing that comes to mind. Show me what it looks like to run like a girl.
My hair.
Show me what it looks like to fight like a girl. Now throw like a girl.
Aww. My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
So do you think you just insulted your sister?
No. I mean, yeah, insulted girls, but not my sister.
Is like a girl a good thing?
Actually, don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. It sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like you're trying to humiliate someone.
So when they're in that vulnerable time between 10 and 12, how do you think it affects them when somebody uses like a girl as an insult?
I think it definitely drops their self-confidence and really puts them down, because during that time they're already trying to figure themselves out, and when somebody says you hit like a girl, it's like, well, what does that mean? Because they think they're a strong person. It's kind of like telling them that they're weak and they're not as good as them.
And what advice do you have to young girls who are told they run like a girl, kick like a girl, hit like a girl, swing like a girl?
Keep doing it, because it's working. If somebody else says that running like a girl or kicking like a girl or shooting like a girl is something that you shouldn't be doing, that's their problem. Because if you're still scoring and you're still getting to the ball on time and you're still being first, you're doing it right. It doesn't matter what they say. I mean, yes, I kick like a girl and I swim like a girl and I walk like a girl and I wake up in the morning like a girl because I am a girl. And that is not something that I should be ashamed of. So I'm gonna do it anyway. That's what they should do.
If I asked you to run like a girl now, would you do it differently?
I would run like myself.
Would you like a chance to redo it?
Yeah.
Why can't run like a girl also mean win the race?
So that's what we talk about when we talk about purpose versus something being pretty. You can argue that that's not very pretty, but it's very purposeful. So it drives a point home that we need to change what like a girl means, and Always is trying to do that. So to conclude, this was the naive path to love, really, and this is a kind of love audit that we're looking about. So we're looking to change KPIs, to change the kind of technology we use, to change the kind of content we roll out, to change the level of creativity. So moving brands from vanity metrics to gravity metrics, something that has much more pull, moving from just, feeling with you to really living in your shoes, feeding the feed versus listening and understanding and analyzing what the needs are and addressing those, small talk to big drama like the Lego movie, and pretty versus purposeful. And it's a kind of way to kind of measure where you are on every single KPI and to try to understand how you should shift your brand so you kind of drown the like a bit and get the love to be heavier. So this is the kind of thing we're calling for. Thank you. Right on time. I think you have like 3 minutes if you want to ask questions, unless you want to go somewhere else. Yes. Yeah.
Even with this corporation, you have a lot of, let's say, social teams. How do you see that new venue?
Well, yeah, no, I get your question. So, it's the UN doing this here, so it's kind of their prerogative to do something like that. And the way they did it was a bit differently. So not just showing you a picture of a hungry child, and that's the switch they moved here. Because when everybody is showing you just dramatic images, they're making you live the drama, and that's where the difference is. And that's how I think they can really influence change makers to do something different versus, you know, showing you images of things. So that's where the big shift was here. Well, VR is still very new, so I'm wondering, I mean, I don't know if you've done anything for your brand with VR, but it's quite new. So if you're asking about the next thing, I don't know, but you know, we have a team here who would be happy to create it with you. But VR for me is still pretty new and not fully utilized, at least in this part of the world.